this as well as we're out of the museum tonight. When you have gorgeous weather like this, you never know if people will come inside. So thank you for coming in for a very special night. My name is Elizabeth Peterson. I'm the director of the museum at Oglethorpe. I am not the person who curated this show. The satire show, I am very proud and happy to tell you, was curated by our new curator of collections, John Daniel Tilford, who with about 6 to 9 months lead time, John pulled this exhibit together. We want to thank the many private collectors who were involved in making the show happen. Dr. Michael and Lana Schlossberg, who are the lead collectors for this show. They have generously lent more than guys, it is satire after all, so I guess I can say a little untoward here. They have generously lent to us many of the works that are in this, and we actually John had to winnow it down to a paltry 96. So all of you, please make a point of coming to see the show as well. What else do I want to tell you? The students here at Oglethorpe are in the midst of midterms, so they're very tired, they're working hard. This is a very special place. There are only about 1,100 students, and they are committed. They are under the microscope a bit with a tiny village like Oglethorpe, and they do a beautiful job. They certainly do at the museum. They are interns and gallery assistants, and they're taking their tickets out there, and they're involved in installation. They're acting as curatorial assistants. You'll see if you get one of our catalogs that Ms. Holly Bostick has been given publishing credit for what she did on this show. So they're very involved, and we love the students here. So I want to tell you that this evening our speaker is going to be introduced by Dave Leonard. Mr. Leonard is a member of the Museum Advisory Board. He is, as for very many years, and as of about 2 years ago, he became a trustee for the university. He and his wife Cynthia, who's also here tonight, are very committed to Oglethorpe, and they understand how to get things done. They're practical, they're forward-thinking, and we love having them involved at the Oglethorpe. So, Dave, if you come say a few words.
Well, good evening. Brighter than I thought up here. I might not even need them. I will say that as a member of the University Museum Advisory Board, I had the pleasure of working with some very talented people like Elizabeth Peterson, like John Tilford, and you can meet them and talk with them too. You all have in your pocket. How many people have been to an event on campus before? That are here tonight? Most of you. How many people have been in the University Museum? Most of you. Great. How many members do we have tonight? A lot of you. Okay, the rest of you have in your pocket free admissions, so please use them. The Oglethorpe University Museum is really special. It is not really like any other museum in the city, in my opinion, and I say that as just a regular person who likes to go to museums and see things, not any qualified art critic. But it is it's very special because it is so intimate, and you can get up close and personal with the art and with the people there and speak with them, and for a very reasonable sum become a member, and then you get invited to the openings and you get to have a little wine and cheese, and they tell you about what the show is about, and you can't do that other places except for a lot more money. So I encourage you all to come by. Tonight we are extremely pleased to have with us Mike Luckovich, the editorial cartoonist for the Atlanta Journal-Constitution. Mike Luckovich received the top honor within his profession when he was awarded the Pulitzer Prize for editorial cartooning on 2 occasions, first in 1995 and then again in 2006. The prize committee praised his work for its creativity and its effectiveness. But Mike's Pulitzers are only part of the many awards that he has received. The ones that I was able to find include the Overseas Press Club Award for Best Cartoonist on Foreign Affairs, 1989, the National Headliners Award for Editorial Cartoonists in 1991, the Reuben Award from the National Cartoonists Society for Outstanding Cartoonist of the Year in 2001 and 6, and a National Journalism Award in 2008. His first cartooning job was with the Greenville News in South Carolina, followed by the Times-Picayune in New Orleans. He spent 4 years there and then came to Atlanta in 1989 to the Atlanta Journal-Constitution, and we are very pleased that he is still here. I am a fan. I open the paper. When I open the paper, I still read a paper. When I open the paper, the editorial page, or I go online at work and look up his cartoon, I know I'm going to laugh. Most of the time. Sometimes I cry. And it's because he has that ability to touch those elements that you go, oh, that's right. And why can't we do anything about it? Well, he touches those strings. He reveals what's behind and what's in your mind. And even if you don't agree with all of the politics, you will see that his cartoons always carry with them things that I very much respect. Truth and a very healthy questioning and, dare I say, distrust of authority and power. And I value those qualities very highly. So I am proud to introduce to you tonight Mike Luckovich.
Thank you very much. That was really nice. I appreciate you doing that. You know, I really, gosh, I can't see you all. Oh, no, I have the funnest job, really, that there is. I mean, every day I get in, I've been this year it's been 26 years that I've been at the AJC. Wow. And I still, every day, oh, thank you. But every day that I get in, I just am so, I feel like, Captain Kirk sitting at his Star Trek chair. I'm at my desk and I've got all my stuff around, all my drawing stuff. And I have so much fun sitting there. Of course, what I do first, I get in around noon. So the first thing is, of course, is have lunch, and then after lunch, it appears to the naked eye that I'm not doing anything, because I'm really not doing anything. I'm just, I'm reading the AJC, the New York Times. I'm looking online at various blogs and websites, news websites that I like. I'm also checking out eBay. And, just because what I do is every day, I wait till it gets to be about 3 o'clock, because my deadline is 5:30. So at 3 o'clock I start to panic. And so that's what forces me to come up with ideas. So I'm just sort of enjoying myself having lunch for the first 3 hours, and then I get nervous and I start coming up with ideas. And some days there's just not a lot going on, and it's like, oh crap. So I'm checking the web looking for things, and then sometimes something will just appear, and I'll just think, oh, this is a great topic, and it will be right in front of my face. So what I'll do is I'll come up with the idea, and I bring it out to, there's like 3 people that I show my cartoons to. One at a time, usually just one person at a time, but 3 people. But the reason that I like these 3 people is because I can tell when they don't like something. I can just tell in their body language, and I want to really know, because when I've been looking at an idea for a long time, it loses meaning to me. It would be like looking at the word who, W-H-O. If you sat and stared at the word who for an hour or two, you'd think, what the hell does that even mean? So you need an editor or someone that can say, oh yeah, that one works and that one doesn't. So if I can tell that they don't like it, and sometimes they'll just say these aren't very good, I always appreciate it, because it gets my adrenaline going, and it's just like I can just really focus, and I'll come up with more and more ideas, and sometimes I'll bring those out and I'll think, no, those stink too. And I'll just keep doing it and doing it. And then, you know, in my deadlines, it's getting closer and closer, and I'm thinking, oh, geez, you know, I just can't wait for, you know, 15 minutes from now when I'll have my idea. Because it's like it's not there at all, but I know that at a certain point I'm going to have it. And it's like, but that's how it works every single day. The best thing about my job, though, and this is unbelievable, I do not have to go to a meeting. So I don't have to deal with people, other than showing my ideas. I don't have to show, I don't have to attend a meeting and have to deal with other people. It's never a cartoon by committee. So that works out pretty well. I'll show you some cartoons I've done here recently. I brought some rough sketches. These are some rough sketches that I did today, and you know, I really thought that, well, today was going to be an easier day because we had the Democratic debate last night. But you know what? They did so well. I mean, I thought they're informed. They're talking about ideas. You know, they're not saying how they hate Muslims and how we need a big, beautiful fence and all that kind of nonsense. You know, they're not talking about deporting 11 million people. Because, you know, they're really talking about ideas and but unfortunately for me, because I'm thinking, oh, geez, no one really screwed up. So I just started, you know, thinking just in general terms. So, you know, Halloween's coming up, so this was my first idea. Just, you know, that's GOP is written on there, and you know, and then I was thinking about Halloween again, and you know, the Republicans are saying that Democrats are just offering goodies to people. Of course, they're just, you know, backing up the dump truck for the rich. So it's just like, you know, that doesn't make any sense to me why they're. And then this idea, you know, Black Lives Matter. Geez, since you guys like it, maybe I'll do that one later on in the week. I really did. But this is the one that I ended up doing. And you know how I was talking a little while ago about how, you know, late in the day I'll be looking at the web and sometimes something will just kind of jump out at me. The thing that I had forgotten about is that next week, I believe it's next week, I believe it's next Tuesday, Hillary is going to testify before the Benghazi Select Committee. And, you know, that thing has just, you know, what is it, McCarthy, the guy that was kicked out second for House Speaker, you know, he admitted that it's all just a witch hunt to get Hillary. So I thought, okay, I'll do something on that. So I've got Hillary about to testify, and the guy says, you know, first the ground rules, no getting. And that's that weird-looking Trey Gowdy guy. I mean, I tried to get all the weird-looking people on this committee in there, you know. So I did another one on the Benghazi probe a week or two ago. This is a 2-panel cartoon, so I'll show you the first panel. It says, Hillary's polls are down, these hearings are working. And someone else says, uh-oh, Bernie Sanders' polls are up. So then it becomes the Republican Benghazi. And this is just so amazing to me. This guy's leading the Republican field. Gosh, you know, really, isn't in your lifetimes, isn't this the craziest election season that America has seen? I mean, it's bizarre. And even, you know, it's not bizarre on the Democratic side, but it's very unusual in that Bernie Sanders, a self-described, you know, Democratic socialist, is, I mean, people are loving him. But you know what's so amazing, what I love with both he and Hillary, is that they're actually talking about problems, and he's talking about income inequality, and it's easy for people to understand. And from what I've read, there are even some, he's even beginning to appeal to working class white people that have kind of traditionally, at least in the past 50 years, voted Republican. I think people are finally understanding the con, that, that they've all been conned. And so it gives me some hope, but then I start worrying about Trump, This was when Bruce Jenner became Caitlyn. So and this is sort of along the same line. They've been talking about putting a woman on American currency. So this is what I envision happening. They finally put a woman on the 20, and she's like, U.S. Mint Spencer edition. This is another way that our politics has become increasingly bizarre. Since the Supreme Court and Citizens United, it's been like billionaires choosing who they want to be their candidate. I mean, it's like we're becoming an oligarchy, and it's so. This is I have them, various candidates, and the rich guy says, still deciding to keep twerking. See, and what I do when I'm sitting at my desk, I don't even have a drawing table. I just sit at a regular desk, and I've got my computer, and I'll Google an image like Ted Cruz, and I'll find an image I like, and then I will I'll just draw it, and I don't pencil in anything before. I do a very rough sketch like the ones that I showed you earlier, but when it comes to the final drawing, I just ink, and you can see, I think, right on my, I don't know if you can see the whiteout on my fingers. See that? See this finger here? That has the white. So what I'll do is I have this little whiteout pen. Like if I screw up Ted Cruz's face, I white it out, and then I smooth it all out, and I redraw it. So I don't have to, I don't have to erase, but I go through tons of whiteout. This is on the. So local one on the Braves and that pedestrian bridge. Saying a pedestrian bridge is needed to keep despondent fans from walking into traffic. And, what's interesting to me is America it's almost like a reality freak show on national politics. I mean, like that, what is that, Kim Davis, the marriage license clerk. She denied my dad hates carpet This is just, the Republican and Democratic symbols sort of revised now. This is. And when McCarthy was kicked off, and then Paul Ryan said he didn't want to be House Speaker, I combined them. Now, one of the biggest surprises to me, other than Donald Trump and crazy Ben Carson and pathological liar Carly Fiorina. The biggest surprise has been Jeb Bush. I thought, Jeb Bush, I always thought that he was the smart one and the one that the family had thought really should have been president. But this guy turns out to be as dumb or dumber than W without the personality. So it's like, he keeps saying stupid things. This was after the latest shootings. He says stuff happens, and they said, who let Jeb deliver the eulogy? Here's another Jeb cartoon. He's praised W for 9/11, Iraq, Katrina. So I have him say, heck of a job, Brownie. Now, this is an interesting thing. Sometimes you do a cartoon and you don't know, what the reaction is going to be, or sometimes it'll be a kind of a really fun, amazing reaction. And so when I found out that Carter had cancer, I had a cartoon that I was working on, and I was almost finished with it, because they announced late in the day, it was like on a Wednesday, around 5 o'clock that he had cancer. But I really liked Carter, and I really wanted to do something about that. And so I kept, but as I was drawing this other drawing, so I kept thinking, okay, what can I do? And I would think to myself, hey, you got this idea, you can always do something on Carter the next day. But then I just thought, you know what, it just seemed so important to do something on him. So I came up with an idea, and I ran over to my editor and I said, listen, can I do this? And he said, okay, just draw really fast. So this is the one that I ended up doing. I've got the couple that I always draw, and it's, they're counting a campaign sign that says Jimmy Carter for Cancer Survivor. And so it got on social media, and they saw it in Plains, and there's a woman, I believe her name is Jill Stuckey, a family friend of the Carters. She saw it, and she thought, well, how can we use this? So her idea was, she made these campaign signs. She made 500 of them, and beautiful campaign signs. And so as Carter was coming in from Emory, where he'd had some treatment, as he was driving in with Rosalind, the signs were lining the downtown Plains, and in people's yards, and it was beautiful. And so he, a week or so later, he sent me a letter, a beautiful letter. And he also sent me a picture that he had taken of all the campaign signs. So it was just such a nice thing, and what an amazing human being he is. I mean, you have I'm getting emotional. Get out of there. You have guys like Huckabee and Santorum, who are. They call themselves Christian, but that's not how Christians should behave. But Carter is a real Christian. He's given his life to helping others. And I just think he's Here's another two-panel cartoon. This is on. Remember a week or two ago there was the House Republican hearing on Planned Parenthood. It was chaired by Jason Shavitz or something like that. So this is a two-panel. The first panel, you see the caption says, "Your lies and hostility towards women's health have been revealed. Explain why you shouldn't be defunded." And the next panel, Shavitz says, "Hey, we asked the question." Now, here's another crazy thing. 43% of Republicans polled believe that Obama's a Muslim. So this was time with Pope Francis coming. He says, "America, there must be economic justice, immigration reform, and climate change action." The Cardinal says, 43 Republicans now say you're Muslim. This is on, this has been a story that has really been, it's like something that is like, if there's a slow week, I can just do a cartoon on this subject, which is DeKalb County. So Lee May, the CEO of DeKalb, he's saying, "I'm happy with the findings of the DeKalb corruption investigation I commissioned." And it says your hand is in the cookie jar. He didn't like hearing that, so. Yeah. See, don't I have a fun job? I love every day coming in, and I feel like, instead of feeling the need to kick the cat or something like that, it's like therapy for me to get my point of view out. And even when people disagree with me, I put my stuff up on Facebook and it's on Twitter, and I get all kinds of responses. And I just appreciate that people are paying attention. And I try and use humor in my cartoons, because, I mean, sometimes it's not appropriate, but in most cases, if you can make a point, and even if it's a strong point, if you can use humor, then it brings people to want to see what you're doing, even if they don't maybe agree with the cartoon itself. So, but it's really a fun job. So now what I was thinking about doing is you know, when I grew up in Seattle, and I would sit underneath the Space Needle and I would draw caricatures of people. And so, you know, Larry has agreed to be victimized. So if you all could give Larry a big hand, Larry, come on. Yeah, Larry, all you have to do, I know this is sort of awkward, but if you could, let's see, if you could stand, yeah, that's good. If you could stand right there. It's only an hour and a half. I'll be done. Okay, let's see. Okay, now I have something in mind because I have to make sure I draw this out correctly. Larry, how long have you been president?
About a week. My 11th year.
Oh, congratulations. Where the hell is Joseph? Joseph, did I do something wrong?
I don't think so. Let's see.
Everyone, a big hand for Joseph. Wow. See?
And Shamoya.
And Shamoya. Thank you, guys. So this is what I do. Like I said, I Google an image and then I just draw it, and you know, and then if I screw it up, I white out. I didn't bring my white out this evening, so
It looks like his eyes out.
Don't move.
Yeah.
Donald Trump's hosting Saturday Night Live.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Good cartoon.
Yeah.
It's coming Saturday.
It's coming Saturday.
Is it this
I
Saturday?
think so.
I thought it was like in beginning of November. Maybe I'm wrong. You're probably right, because you're the president. You would. You smile, Larry.
I'd smile if I could see what you were doing.
The nose looks a little small.
Mike's next.
Sorry. My mic went. Can y'all hear me?
No.
No? Wait a minute, maybe it turned off. Yeah, it turned off. Is that better?
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Larry, where are you from?
New York and Pennsylvania.
Oh, okay.
You gonna work that in?
No, I got something. So let's see. Bear with me, gang. This is.
No pressure.
Okay, hold on. Okay, if someone is like a really good student and has a 4 point, how would you write 4 point? 4 and P-O-I-N-T? Or no, 4.0, yeah, okay. This hopefully will make sense. Just bear with me. Okay. Okay, let's see. Hold on. Ogleethorpe. Pretty impressive, huh?
Actually, my license plate is OU100.
Ah, okay, yeah. Okay, now here we go. Okay, good. That's a good time.
The presidential power just makes that.
Yeah. Oh, sorry, I've been doing that the whole time. Okay, sorry. Thanks. Okay, so he's the Uber driver.
Can I move?
Yes, you may take a look. You pulled up to Oglethorpe Admissions. One kid is telling the other kid, you had to... Wait. Do what now?
Which key?
I'm pressing... Shimoya?
Just wait.
Shimoya, can you just stand up here the whole time?
It'll come on.
Oh, okay. In about a half hour or so. You know, I hit that once.
Whoops.
Oh, wait, sneak it.
While we're waiting, I will tell a quick story about the White House Correspondents' Dinner. Every year there's one, and I've gone to a number of them. I went to the one where Stephen Colbert was giving the speech, and so before the dinner, the Correspondents' Dinner, they have various cocktail parties. Media outlets do. It's in the Hilton in Washington, D.C. And so I was with another cartoonist, and we were heading to the Washington Post cocktail party because that's based in the town. They get a lot of interesting politicians and celebrities in there. So I told my friend Mike Peters, the other cartoonist, I called him on his hotel phone and I said, oh, okay, I'll finish this story. Okay, so I've got Larry here. And he's pulled up to Oglethorpe Admissions, and the kid in the back is telling the other kid, you had to tell him you have a 4.0. So that's the cartoon. Please forgive me. Okay. All right. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. And thanks you guys for helping me out. Okay, so so I told my friend Mike, I called him in his room, and I said, listen, okay, Mike, I'll meet you in the lobby. Bring your huh?
ID.
No. Isn't that terrible where you have to try and fill in the... oh no, I told him, bring your sunglasses. This is an indoor place. Bring your sunglasses and bring that, your cord from your phone, you know, bring that with you. And so Mike said, okay. And he never asked me why. But he said, okay. So we meet in the lobby and we go to the Washington Post cocktail party. And it started getting really crowded in there because they have a lot of, like I said, celebrities and politicians. And that particular evening, George Clooney was in town with his father. So they were at this cocktail party. And so a lot of people started coming to this thing. So it got crowded. So I told Mike, I said, okay, Mike, let's go outside. And so Mike and I stood at the opening at the door, and on each side. And I said, okay, Mike, put your sunglasses on and take the phone cord and stick it in your ear and then stick it down behind your back. And he said, okay. So we were, you know, so as people were coming in, we were saying, you know, we had to look in their purses and stuff like that. And then, but what we were doing is we were waiting for George Clooney and his security detail to leave, because then we were just going to get right in behind them, you know. And so we're waiting there, and believe it or not, this is really true. Henry Kissinger comes out. And Henry Kissinger comes out, and he sees us each. You know, I'm like wearing a white tuxedo. Mike Peters, the other cartoonist, has got like a Superman bow tie, and so we look goofy. But we had the phone cord and the sunglasses. So Henry Kissinger looks at us, and he said to us, "Will you escort me to the dinner?" And I said, "Yeah, sure." So it's Mike and I. And Henry Kissinger, and we are, you know, it's a long corridor from the party to the dinner. So we're walking down the corridor with him, and then there's a group of people in the hallway there, and they see that it's Henry Kissinger, so they all start, you know, pulling out their phones and taking pictures and stuff. So I said, "No more photographs." And they stopped taking photographs. And so then we walked on to the dinner, and we had to go through a metal detector, so we had to, you know, take our phone cords out and everything. So Henry walked into the thing, and then we went through the metal detector, but then we put our stuff back on, and then as people were coming through the metal detector, you know, we were telling them they had to take off their shoes. And so, you know, so sometimes, you know, just fun things happen when you're a cartoonist. So. Thank you. Do you have, how much time do we have, gang? A lot, okay. Maybe we can get Shamoy and Joseph to come up and make some more adjustments. That'll take us some time. Do y'all have any questions? And I can't really see too well, so.
I got you.
Oh, okay. Got me, all right. Oh yes, I see somebody back there.
What is your preferred writing instrument?
It's this deal here. Let me get my glasses to see what it's called. I get these at Binders. This is a Micron Pigma. They're like $2. This is a .08, and I use this, and I use a. They have them at Binders. I don't know who makes them exactly, but they're a foam brush, and it's like permanent ink, but I don't need to dip into ink. It's just like a felt pen with a foam like a foam tip on it, and so I use, those are the two things that I use, and then of course the whiteout. And then I use, for paper, I use a smooth Bristol board. So it's, you know, it's just I've gotten it down so I don't use very many things, and all the stuff is very inexpensive and easy to
For
work
colors,
with.
what do you use?
Oh yeah, for colors, see, what I do is I have, you know, all my original drawings are 9 by 12. So what I do is I scan them into my computer, and then I have you know, Photoshop, and I use Photoshop, and so I'm left-handed, but for some reason the mouse is on the right, so I've just gotten used to coloring with my right hand, and it all seems to work out. The thing that I hate though, I do this, I swear at myself every day because I do cartoons. I do cartoons, and then they're like I screw up on the here. This is not a very good one to show, but like this one, I get colors in the bubble, and I get it on the, and I always, oh crap! I did that tonight. The one I did tonight, there's some, and it's like it just drives me nuts. I think, oh, I've solved that problem, and then I screw it up again.
Are you carried in any other media or papers around the country?
Yeah, I'm syndicated nationwide, 150 papers, and so I get hate mail from all over the country. And you know, what's amazing is Facebook. I mean, so I'll do a cartoon, and I've had cartoons that, you know, become viral, and they get like 1 million or 3 million people sharing them and looking at them. I mean, it's really, you know, print media is going through some weird times, but man, it's opened up a lot of new people seeing it.
We can see you like to have fun, and I'm sure your employers saw that too. So when they hired you, did they establish some boundaries?
Yeah, no, not really. You know, I mean, they're really. That's the great thing about Cox is that they just let me do what I want. I mean, my office is like embarrassing. It's a pigsty, and I, you know, there's crap everywhere. There's, you know, trail mix and apple cores, and you know, when I'm sitting there and I'm on deadline, you know, I don't even want to get up, so I don't even, you know, I don't put anything away, and so I'm just, you know, stuff is just all over the place. The only time I clean up is when I need, like, you know, I need something, you know, like a cartoon or something. I gotta find that, so I clean up. But so no, they just let me be my dysfunctional self, which I appreciate. Yes, sir.
I do view you as sort of a Stravinsky in a Ted Nugent kind of world. But
that's
I wondered, you referenced this, I wondered if you ever actually have received any threats from people without a sense of humor.
Yeah, you know, yes I have. I received a threat. One time, a woman called me up and said she was going to kill me or something, and that really scared me. I don't know why a woman saying she was going to kill me.
That happens to all of us.
But you know what? So so I did one. I did a cartoon. It was right when America was recognizing that we were torturing people. And so I wanted to do a cartoon comparing the United States torturers with Al-Qaeda torturers. So I did this cartoon, and it wasn't a very good cartoon, and it's sort of a long story. But the day that it ran, on the opposite op-ed page, they had put 2 American servicemen that had been decapitated by Al-Qaeda. So it was just the juxtaposition of the cartoon with the, and so people just were PO'd, and people were calling, upset, and Cox had had security people out patrolling it in our backyard, and I was getting all kinds of threats, and then it all kind of went away. But then Fox News and Bill O'Reilly did a segment on it, and that just increased it all again. But you know, then it kind of went away. But there have been various times in my career when that has happened, and it's usually from a cartoon that people, the symbolism overruns the message you're trying to get across. And so that's why it's always good to have an editor. I like doing cartoons that are hard-hitting, but it's really important for me for people to understand the cartoon, and so that's why it's good to have other people looking at them. Let me get this woman back here.
Curious about your educational path.
My educational path. I went to the University of Mad Magazine. That's how I learned. That's how I learned to draw. But I went. My dad. I grew up in the Seattle area, and he was transferred around a lot as I was growing up. We went to Boise and to Eugene, Oregon, and so and then back to Seattle. And so whenever I would go to a new school, even in elementary school, I had the ability to get a likeness of the teacher. So I would draw the teacher, and then a cartoon of the teacher, and then I would pass it around to the kids in class, and then I had like 35 new friends, and so it was a great way to meet people. And then but even in college, I really didn't know what I wanted to do. I thought, well, my girlfriend, now wife, I was telling her, maybe social work or something, because cartooning is really hard to get into. But then I just thought, this is the only thing that I'm halfway decent at, and so I joined the school newspaper, and it was the daily, so I was drawing every day, and that's really how I got started. And then it's really hard to find a job, so for 2 years I sold life insurance. But then eventually was hired. But I'm so glad that I got this job, because I really don't think I have any other skills. I mean, our youngest daughter, she's now a ninth grader, but when she was in 3rd grade, she said to me, "Daddy, can you help me with my math?" And I opened up the math book, and I just, oh man, it was just like I couldn't do it. So, yes, sir.
Are there any other satirists that influence you? I know politics is very fertile, but are there other people that you...
Yeah, I think I've been influenced by people like Stephen Colbert and this guy who used to be on The Daily Show. Yeah. And who's the guy? Larry Wilmore?
Yeah.
Yes.
See, these guys they make great points, but they're also very funny. So it's like you really have a high bar you can't do crappy stuff, because people are used to really quality satire. And when 50 years ago or 30 years ago, there was just like mainly a few TV networks, and there wasn't the internet. So entertainment wasn't at people's fingertips. So you could really coast. But now with this great satire, that's how they've influenced me. I always think, well, I can't, I don't want to embarrass myself, and that's a good question. Yes, ma'am.
Are there any topics that are off limits?
No, I'm sort of Catholic, and our kids have all gone through Marist. The last one, we've had 3 go through and 1 still in there. And during one of the repeated pedophilia scandals in the Catholic Church, I was doing a lot of cartoons on that scandal. And John, our oldest boy, was walking on campus, and a couple of the priests said, "John, come here." He said, "Hey, John, we know you're Catholic, but what religion is your dad?" and so, I feel like everything is fair game. I wouldn't. I put Malia and Sasha in cartoons as, but never the butt of a joke, because they are there by happenstance. They're too young. When the Bush twins, the first time they got in trouble for drinking, I didn't do a cartoon, but the second time I did a cartoon. So I have sort of if they're repeat offenders, I will hit that. But for the most part, I really feel like it's not fair to punch down. I want to support the less fortunate and the middle class. I would never go out of my way to hit somebody that's vulnerable. I hope you know what I'm trying to get across, but yeah. Yes, sir.
So how's that relate to, say, the Danish cartoons, the anti-Muslim?
Yeah. You know, to me, cartoonists will argue in America about that. I don't, you know, like Charlie Hebdo. My purpose isn't. I don't mind ticking people off, but God, I can't talk. My purpose isn't to provoke unnecessarily, and I think sometimes those Danish cartoonists, you know, they're putting a bomb in Muhammad's head. You know, people say, well, you should have the freedom to say what you want. Well, you do, but you know, you don't yell fire in a crowded theater, as they say. You know, you don't show in a newspaper. You don't show a terrible traffic accident. There are some lines that you shouldn't cross, and so. You know, I really appreciate free speech, and I like to. You know, if people are mad about my cartoons because of the point that it's making, fine. But I don't like to just provoke for no reason. And there was a Charlie Hebdo controversy recently after the massacre. A couple of cartoonists had done cartoons of that little child that washed up. The refugee child that had washed up on that beach in Turkey. And they were like I don't even remember exactly what they were about, but one of them was like something to do with, you know, now the kid won't be able to get a Happy Meal, or, you know, it was like stupid. So someone, there's a guy that does a blog called Comic Riffs at the Washington Post, and he asked a number of cartoonists to comment on what they thought about that. And I said, well, first of all, I thought both those cartoons just weren't funny. They weren't good. And then, you know, why would you take a symbol of a little innocent child and mock that in any way? And another cartoonist said, well, you should never take a symbol like that and use it in a cartoon. I disagree with that. I think that's a very powerful symbol, and you can use that in a way that makes a very profound point, and a poignant point, a hard-hitting point. But to kind of use that as the sort of the butt of the joke is not what I think is right. Now I know in France, in Paris, they have, you know, it's a very, you know, there's a lot of arguments and a lot of different perspectives. So I respect that, but that's just not my cup of tea. I hope I answered your question.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you, ma'am.
Yes. What cartoon still plays a lot in your head that makes you laugh?
Gosh, you know, oh man, that's a tough question, because you know what I do is I do a cartoon, and that becomes my focus the whole day, and then I bring it home and show my wife, and that's always the biggest thing to me. If she laughs, I always think, oh, thank God. But then I just forget about it, and I go to the next cartoon, and so I just stop thinking about that. So there's, and again, you know, I look at them so much that there's not one that I usually come back and have a laugh. You know, it's like Jon Stewart or any of those guys. They've been through the material. The material is probably not that funny to them. Yeah, that's why when my wife laughs, that's a good sign. A good sign for me. Yes, sir.
I'm curious. I'm assuming you've been sued. What's that?
But you know what? That's actually rare to be sued for cartoonists. But I was sued, and it was. Here's another. You know, I was talking earlier about how symbolism sometimes overwhelms the content of the cartoon. This was when Congress. This was back in the '90s, and it was under Clinton, and it was welfare reform. And they were talking about welfare reform. So I drew a congressman, a white congressman, and he's holding a little baby, a little African American baby, and he's telling the little baby, either your unemployed mom gets a job or you're dead meat, something like that. It wasn't a particularly good cartoon, but my editor at the time was Cynthia Tucker, African American, and she said, "Oh man, you know, you're going to really piss off the conservatives with this one." So I said, okay. And so I did the cartoon, and it ran. And I remember walking in the next day, and the look on the person's, the assistant's face, and she said, man, we're getting a lot of people very angry at that cartoon. It was African American people that were upset about it. And one of the stations, not V103, but another kind of a urban African American station, they were talking about the cartoon, and the DJ was saying, you know, that this was, I guess, an insult to African American infants. You know, they missed the satire because the symbolism was so powerful. So all of a sudden, it just became this big deal. And a guy from Channel 11, Keith something or other. Keith Whitney, yeah, he came to do a story, and so I thought, oh, this is great. Now I can get my point out, and it'll be great. So I talked to him, and I thought I was making my point, but so then this was when that show ER was on. That was the big show at the time, and so my wife and I were watching ER, and they kept showing, you know, they kept doing commercials for Channel 11, and they kept teasing to the cartoon, and they kept saying, racist cartoon? Tune in at 11. I thought, geez. I said to my wife, I said, you know, I don't like how this sounds. So they do this story, and it makes it sound like, you know, it was just, again, like it was time for me to hit an African American child. And I'm thinking, and they were talking about how Hosea Williams was going to have a protest about it and stuff, and I was thinking, oh. So then it just got really, you know, even more and more people upset. And so what happened is, oh yeah, so then the next day, the guy who was at Channel 2 at the time, Bill Nigut, comes in, and he says, you know, I want to do a story. He says, I know what you were trying to say. I want to do a story that kind of tells, you know, what was, he said, I don't know what happened at Channel 11. So I was so emotional about it. I mean, and I appreciate this guy because I started crying. I was so upset, and so he didn't show that, and I was thinking, oh, thank God. And so they did the story, and then Cynthia went on V103, and I went on the other African American show, and we talked about the cartoon, and people understood where I was coming from, and it all sort of went away. But it was just a very emotional, weird thing, and it also showed me the way that the press can really screw you. I mean, you know, I've done interviews before, and I think, oh, this is going to be great, and then I read it, and I think, God, I wish I'd never done that. Because, you know, people have a way of putting their own spin on it, and it's just like, oh man. So I understand why there may be a few people angry at the media. Yes, sir.
At the AJC, you're ideologically juxtaposed often with Ramirez, who I seldom agree with, but I think is excellent. I wonder if you'd comment a little bit on his craft, and then also, do you have any plans to do something at a future meeting with him in terms of your Secret Service routine or something?
Oh yeah, well yeah. Actually, that was another Mike. There's a lot of Mike cartoonists. Mike Peters is the guy that I did my thing with. Yeah, Ramirez is the conservative cartoonist that the AJC runs a lot, and I think it's a great thing that they do because as the internet has become so big, people can get whatever news that they want tailored to themselves. So it's good that the paper has kind of two sides, so that people, instead of just seeing my stuff and saying, oh, you know, this is a frigging liberal paper, I'll never read it again. We have a mix of right and left columnists and right and left cartoonists. So I think it's really good. Ramirez is a beautiful artist. He is a little bit less. He uses less humor than I do. He is more like a sledgehammer type, you know, very hard hitting, and it's just a personal, you know, it's just a personal thing. But I'm really glad that they're running him because it allows me to keep being around. Dr. Schwarzberg.
Yes. You do hundreds and hundreds of drawings.
Yeah.
For the newspaper. Who gets to keep them? The newspaper or you?
Mike keeps them. Yeah, yeah. No, I have them. Well, I have some of them at work. I have like 5,000 of them, and they're currently in those sealable, plastic containers in our garage. Yeah, so that's. Well, at least they stay dry, so I make sure they stay high up so they, Huh?
You might want to put them somewhere.
Yeah, well, you're probably right. Yeah.
So do you ever think about doing quote-unquote fine art because you're so artistly?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think that I would like to oil paint. But we've got this kid still in school, so that takes a lot of time, and so at this point I keep thinking I'm going to start it. But I've taken some oil painting classes. It's really difficult. I mean, it's just mixing the paint and things. It's really hard. It's not anything you can just do. But I think that if I got into it, I think that I just feel like I could do something kind of different and kind of fun. So that's something that I'm looking forward to doing. But the thing is, I have this schedule. I mean, it's not like I'm that busy, but I enjoy my life. I can exercise, I can go to work when I want to, and it's like I'm so thankful that I have this job and that I love it so much, and I can. So anyways, that would just be another thing, but I will do something like that in the future. Yes, sir.
How do you keep 150 syndicated papers with cartoons? What do you provide for them?
Well,
Is it the same cartoon every day?
Yeah, all my national and international ones that run in the paper, they get sent electronically. Well, they go to my syndicate, and then my syndicate sends them on to the papers that have subscribed to me.
In other words, when you have something on DeKalb County, does that go?
Oh, no, that doesn't go. All the local stuff just stays here. But so I do like at least three a week, national, international, and those are the ones that go out. Yeah.
Are any of your kids interested in cartooning?
We have 4 children. The oldest one is. He will be 29 in a couple of months, and he's a painter, and he does some really interesting stuff. And he's not into cartooning, but he was the kid that I was telling you about that was always at did I tell you about that? No, maybe I told somebody else. Okay. Yeah. No, this was in, I think I told somebody else earlier. We were in San Antonio. He would always go to the National Cartoonist Society conventions with us because he loves to draw. And so he would just be sitting there sketching. So this was a number of years ago. We were talking about Bill Molden, I think. Yeah, okay, yeah. And so this was one of the first online kind of chats. So they had a bunch of cartoonists in the room, and so John was in there with us, and they had it was like Bill Keane, who does the Family Circus, Frank, the guy that did Frank and Ernest, Jeff McNelly, who did Shoe, David Coverly, who's another really good cartoonist. I was telling Dr. Schlossberg, Will Eisner, who did The Spirit, and then Bill Malden was there. And Bill Malden was, he was having some dementia. So like an old girlfriend of his took him to this cartoonist convention. And they have this thing called the Reuben Awards. So the night of the Reuben Awards, they called Bill Malden up on stage, and then he was kind of losing it. So he got all pissed off with the trombone player. He says, "Why don't you shut up that goddamn..." It was just kind of weird. But at this online chat, so I said, okay. I was telling all the cartoonists, I said, "Hey, my son John is here. Can you all do a little drawing, your little character, and sign it, and then pass it to the next guy?" So as we're doing this online chat, all these great cartoonists are signing, doing little drawings on this piece of paper for John. And then so it gets to Bill Malden. And Bill Malden's sitting there, and we're almost done with this chat. And Bill Malden's girlfriend keeps saying, okay, Bill, this is for Mike's son John, and could you do a little sketch? And Bill Malden just sat there, and I was thinking, please. And he didn't do a sketch, but he did sign his name. So we still have that thing. It's kind of it's pretty neat. So
he's an art.
oh yeah, so he paints. Mickey, the next oldest kid, is he draws but not as much. Michaela is she draws, but she's not like, it's not going to be her. She's got a different career. And Lucy, our youngest, draws a lot, and so she may end up doing something with it. But John does this thing called the Enneagram, which is it's a number system for understanding people. So he travels all over the world and does that. Then he paints in the meantime. He's like a weird dude, but he's very, very unique. Very unique. Yeah, thank you for the question. Yes.
When I think of Mike Luckovich, I think of the Statue of Liberty with the tear.
Oh, yeah.
That to me just, you nailed it in every possible way.
Well, thank you. I think
do you think too, or do you have?
Well, I will tell you. Should we end it on this? We good? Can I tell one little story? Okay. Thank you for that. Where are you? Oh, there you are. I was at a different angle, and all of a sudden she disappeared. Okay, so when the day that 9/11 happened, I was at home with my wife and the now 14-year-old. She was a baby, and so I saw the towers come down on CNN, and so I really wanted to do something the best that I could. So I drove in and to work, and I sat there all day, as I told you I do, trying to come up with ideas. And I was running out of time, and so I came up with an idea, and the head editor at the time, he came in to see what I was going to be doing on it, and I showed him the idea, and I could feel my face getting red because I was embarrassed about the cartoon. But I had just run out of time. So I drew it up, and I brought it home, and I showed it to my wife, and thank goodness she said she liked it. And so this is the cartoon. And so the thing is, with an editorial cartoon, you have a single image to convey what you're feeling. And in that moment, in that time, I had so many different, like all of us, so many different emotions: sadness, shock, anger, and I wanted to put them all into one cartoon, and it was just really impossible. So doing this one, the next day people were contacting the paper, saying that it meant a lot to them, and so the paper had posters of the cartoon printed up, and Kroger's in the metro Atlanta area sold them with like $5, benefiting 9/11 victims. So in hindsight, I'm glad I did this cartoon, but at the time I was disappointed in it. But I'm glad you liked the cartoon. Well, thank you all so much.